Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. Before we get into the video, if you're not already aware, I have a GoPro Hero Session giveaway going on my other channel called The Wander Affair. It's the channel that I have with my wife, and all you have to do is go to that channel, subscribe to it, and go to the giveaway video and comment on that to be entered for the giveaway. We are giving that away as soon as the channel hits 1,000 subscribers, which is going to be very, very soon. The subscriber count is climbing pretty quickly on that channel, so I'm really excited about it. So make sure you do that before you do anything else. But in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 things that I hate about my 2019 BMW 440i. I've owned this car for not quite 2 months and I have just about 2,000 miles on it. So I think I'm at the point now where I can definitively say the things that I don't necessarily like about this car, or that could at least be improved. And here's the thing, I absolutely love this car. It looks so good, it's really fast, it's all-wheel drive, it's available with a manual transmission, which I have in mind, which this is like one of the last BMWs you can get in North America, at least non-M cars, with a manual transmission. And it really is the perfect daily driver for me. But that said, like almost every car out there, it's not perfect. And while videos like this may seem like they have a negative premise to them, this really isn't a negative video because I absolutely love this car. But without further ado, we're gonna get into the 5 things that I hate out of everything that this car does so well. The 5 things that I hate about my 2019 440i. First thing I hate about my 440i is that there aren't any higher end leather options available in this car. So the standard seating surface is BMW's Sensatec. It's a leatherette surface. It's not bad, but it's not real leather. So if you upgrade from that, all of the options that you have are Dakota leather, which I have Dakota leather in this car. It's the black Dakota leather with the oyster piping. So you have these light gray, whitish piping in the seats and the stitching as well. And I think it looks really good and it's very soft, but it's not the highest end leather that you can get in a BMW. You have many BMWs that have Napa leather options. You have this Tartufo leather and Vernasca leather, and there are a bunch of really nice leather options in so many BMWs, but not in this generation of the 4 Series. So you're really stuck with this Dakota leather, which in many BMWs is almost like a base leather option. And at this point in 2019, going into 2020, the only other coupe, I mean, you have the 2 Series, obviously, which I think has the same seating surfaces as this car, and then obviously you have the 8 Series, which, depending how you configure that, it could be 2 to 3 times the price of this car. Now, the new 3 Series does have some nice higher end leather options, and I would imagine that when the new 4 Series comes out, which is probably going to be for the 2021 model year, that will have those same options. So at that point, you'll be able to get some higher end options, but you almost certainly will not be able to get a manual transmission in that car. Second thing that I hate about my 440i, and this only applies to the manual transmission cars, is that you cannot turn off auto rev matching unless you turn DSC or traction control all the way off. And this was a little bit weird getting used to when I first purchased this car, because I was used to my 2006 BMW Z4, which obviously doesn't have any auto rev matching feature. And I like rev matching myself. I think it's part of the experience of driving a manual. When you get it perfectly, it feels so good. And that's something that is a little bit different in this car, because you can actually rev match yourself. I mean, if you give it gas as you're downshifting, then it's going to cancel whatever auto rev matching the car is doing, but it's still kind of weird, and I don't really like that. So I just don't rev match anymore, and it's kind of sad because that's something that's really awesome about driving a manual now. Obviously, I could turn traction control all the way off, but I like all of the stability features that this car has, and especially when you're driving aggressively on a back road, like I do a lot, I feel like you really should have traction control on. Now, I'm sure there's a way to code that out of the car or code it out of some of the driving modes. There's definitely a lot of changes you can make to the software in this car, but that's not really something that I think I want to get into. So for me, I'm just using the auto rev matching. At the end of the day, it does it perfectly every single time. It rev matches better than a human can because it's literally perfect every time. So it's kind of grown on me. It's fine now, but it's just something that I kind of miss doing. And certainly when I drive my Z4, because I still have that car, it's one of the things that I really do get to enjoy is rev matching yourself. The third thing that I hate about this car is how quiet the stock exhaust is. When you fire up the engine on a cold start or even on a warm start, it does idle a little bit higher initially, and that does sound really good. I really like the volume, I would say, on really any start. But after that initial startup, it is pretty quiet, and I really like the way this car sounds. I think this engine sounds really good. I think the exhaust sounds pretty good. You do get some crackles and pops to a degree. It's not anything very significant, and it's mostly just when the car is in neutral. If you were to just sit in neutral and rev the engine, you do get a little bit of that crackle and pop sound. But overall, this car is just kind of quiet. I recently reviewed the 2019 M240 i. That one was a convertible, and that was a phenomenal car. It's the same B58 engine that's in this car, but that exhaust is significantly louder, and when you put it in sport mode, it sounds really good. You get tons of crackles and pops on downshifts, or really anytime you let off the gas when it's around 3,000 RPMs, and you just don't get that in this car. Now, here's the thing. In this car, which I don't believe you can do in the M240 i, you can get the M Performance Power and Sound Kit, and that makes this car sound awesome. I have heard that exhaust in person. It's a valved exhaust, so it gets significantly louder when you get from comfort with the valves closed to sport with the valves open, and I am definitely doing that to this car. I'm so excited for it. I'm probably gonna do that here in the next 2 months, I would say, but I just wish it sounded a little bit better stock without the MPPSK, but it's just a reason, I guess, to buy that power and sound kit. But I was just really surprised when I drove the M240 i, because at least without any exhaust modification, it sounds so much better than this car. The fourth thing that I hate about this car is how narrow the tires are at only 225 millimeters in width. My 440i does have the M Sport package, and these 18-inch wheels are essentially the base wheel option for the M Sport package. You can get 19s from the factory, which probably come with 235 or maybe even 245 millimeter tires, and I would obviously much rather have that on this car. I didn't order this car, I bought it from my dealership. It was on the lot, so I didn't get to do that, and I'm certainly going to do a wheel upgrade to this car at some point, probably next year. I'll get through the rest of the summer and fall and winter, and then I'll probably go to a different wheel setup where I'll have some bigger wheels with summer performance tires, and then I'll keep these wheels for winter, and I'll get an actual set of dedicated winter tires. I think that's what I'm going to do. But either way, just for being the M Sport package, I would have expected the wheels and tires to be a little bit wider. I would have expected at least 235s, but again, that's something that is so easily solvable. 225 millimeters just doesn't really scream performance, at least in my opinion, but again, that's something that's so easily upgradable, where it's not really a big deal at all. It's just something I would have expected them to be a little bit wider for the, you know, M Performance, essentially, version of the 440i. And then the last thing that I hate about this car is that the top speed is limited to only 130 miles per hour. And that's pretty common with BMWs, but I would have expected with this car, if you get the M Performance Power and Sound Kit, that top speed limitation would be increased to the 155, for example, that you get in this car if you get the track handling package. And I'm sure somebody's gonna say, well, you should have gotten the track handling package, and I completely agree, but I didn't order this car, and you can't get that package added on to the car after the fact. So the M Performance Power and Sound Kit you can get after the fact. You can either order it from the factory like that, and I think it still is an upgrade that gets done once it hits the United States. It's also something you can get after the fact, but the track handling package, which is only a $1,700 package, you can't get after the fact, and you can't get that top speed limiter removed or increased at all unless it's done through a tune. There may be tunes out there that actually do raise the top speed. And the only reason I care about that at all, because honestly, I'm never gonna drive this car 130 miles an hour or anywhere near that on a public road, but I will be taking this car to the track, and that's actually gonna happen really soon. Probably within the next month or so, I'm gonna do a track day somewhere in this car because I really wanna get into performance driving with my 440i. I think it would be so much fun, especially with a manual transmission. That's one of the reasons that I bought this specific car, because I wanted to be able to do stuff like that. And 130 miles an hour, even on the track, is really fast, and it's gonna take a while until I get to a level to where I can drive that fast anyway. I'm not that concerned. I'm not really bummed out about it because 130 is really fast. And if I get to the point where 130 just isn't fast enough, then there's probably something wrong with me at that point anyway, or I'll just buy a different car. It's probably gonna take a very long time for me to think that that is just too slow. It's just something where I wish that, like with the MPP SK, you could get that 155 mile an hour top speed. I think that would be really cool, but it's not really something that I'm bummed out about, I would say. So if I had to pick 5 things to hate about this car, those would probably be the 5. I've had a phenomenal first 2,000 miles with this car. This is an absolutely amazing BMW, and I'm so happy to have it, and I'm so excited about all the awesome upcoming content that I will be making with this car, and certainly there's so many more reviews in the works. I know there haven't been a lot of videos coming out lately. I've just been absolutely swamped, but because it is summertime, we do have more daylight, and it's obviously much easier to make videos outside, so there are more reviews coming, more videos of the 440i. I have so many modifications planned for this car. I did actually check out some PPF options, some protective film options for this car, because I definitely want to do that before I take it to its first track day. So that's probably the first modification I'll be getting in this car, but I'll be doing the MPP SK soon and a bunch of other stuff. So definitely, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome upcoming content of this car, of my other cars, and of all the cars I will be reviewing here very soon. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for taking this drive with me, and I'll talk to you soon.